He said that his alibi was that he was going to be out stargazing. But you found something about the phone that would have absolutely obliterated the alibi. Can you explain that?
On the night of the murders, he physically pressed the side button and turned his phone off. The crazy part was writing in a report that a phone can't take photos while it's powered off, but just to prove that his alibi was ridiculous. A phone can't take photos while it's powered off. A phone can't take photos while it's powered off.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Listen to Pavarotti.
Can I be your superhero?
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I got you about 6 bombshells in this one, folks, or I wouldn't even have made this video today. I'm your host, Pavarotti. And by the way, when you listen to the opening, go back and listen to it again. It was Banfield interviewing the Barnhardt'S, you know, the Dateline leakers that really like to do a lot of speculation. Well, listen to what they just said.
The crazy part was writing in a report that a phone can't take photos while it's powered off, but just to prove that his alibi was ridiculous.
They said that Kohberger powered his phone off, and what was ridiculous was them having to write a report that a phone that is powered off can't take photos, therefore negating Kohberger's alibi as ridiculous. You hear what I'm saying? We were right all along. Kohberger had pictures that he had taken in Wawawe Park that had, as I've said 100 times, EXIF data that would log where you're at a certain time. And the alibi that I guess we never got to actually hear was denied, or was about to be, at the very least, fought against in court with experts like these knuckleheads that are saying, oh, well, we figured out that he turned his phone off, and you can't take pictures if your phone's turned off. That's how they were going to railroad Kohberger's alibi with these guys. They're so good at digital forensics that they're going to override somebody taking a picture in the EXIF data on there because they were going to say it was deep faked. I told you this, and I'll be dang if they didn't just come right out and admit it. That's just one. I've got to do this video today because when the BS comes falling in Idaho, it is falling from the rooftops right now. So everything that we hear in this case, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. There's less than nothing. And it's amazing. And I'll go through a few of those. But one of the main things I got to go through, because I haven't received any kind of response from my FOIAs on all the documents from ISP, but apparently Brian Enton has got his, and he was kind enough to almost read through the entire Gooch statement with Dylan. And that was the missing piece. And you know what? Unless you have gone through, like we did in the video last night, all of the statements and break them down with a fine-tooth comb, if y'all haven't watched that video, even if it makes you mad because you want Dylan did this, Dylan did that, well, believe me, don't get too mad, because in this video, as we take what Enton has read for us, it fills in the final piece. Fills in the final piece. But you got to go back and watch the video I did yesterday to even understand what the final piece is. I mean, it's freaking amazing. And I've come to this final conclusion. This final conclusion. It is not conspiracy. It is not a mainstream moron conspiracy. They're literally this stupid. They're literally just that stupid. I mean, I'm serious. They are not smart enough to be able to run a conspiracy, it turns out. Now, somebody may give them talking points or something. I don't know, because maybe all they can do is read. But I'm talking about these, the morons, the mainstream morons are just that dumb. And let me tell you, their minions are even dumber. It's literally like Dumb and Dumber. Y'all remember that movie? It's Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I'm not kidding. By the end of this, you'll understand why. And I got to get it out because I'm not talking about anybody out there. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's dumb, but everybody out there is dumb. Just about everybody I see is dumb. I mean, they hear, they're all going to have y'all saying it because that's, all you know is what they report. Oh, the killer said Kaylee. Kaylee was the target. Good grief. People, don't be that blind. Don't be that dumb. Well, I'll show you in this. By the end of this video, you won't be that blind or that dumb because you're having to listen to people that don't have a brain say stuff. But because we did that video yesterday, go back and watch it. It was a long one. Had to put a lot of effort into it. I mean, I'm going to be vindicated on almost everything I put in that thing. And Koberger, I mean, this is a travesty, y'all. This is a absolute travesty. I'm going to shut up. Let me just give you these bombshells like only Pav can give you, because unless you've looked at this thing like Pav has, there's no way you can figure this crap out. And I tell you what, it's divine intervention. I wasn't going to make a video today, but it's divine intervention. I mean, I was just somehow caught all these clips, and something woke me up this morning at 5 a.m. and said, get your butt in there because you got to do it now. This is divine intervention. I truly believe it. Hold on to your hats. All right. So first of all, this is a interview that the Idaho Statesman did with Dollinger, the guy you see with Brett Payne answering all the questions in the case. And we're not going to read the whole article, but I'm just going to point out some interesting things, because this entire article is like it's written off of my videos. I swear to God. Now, listen to this. This is unbelievable, and it tells you so much. Obtaining footage from the immediate neighbor's security camera provided a challenge to investigators in first week. Within hours of arriving at the crime scene, a corporal in the police report said he collected a memory card from the surveillance camera. This is 1112. Remember we did the 1112 camera saga? Investigators ran into technical difficulties and were unable to pull any footage. So they returned the card, hoping to obtain records of what the camera captured in the neighborhood early that morning with the neighbor's help. 4 days after the unalivings on November 17th, an officer reached back out to the neighbor to obtain the footage, but learned she'd left Moscow until the end of the month, records showed. Yeah, y'all wrote this off of my videos. I know you did. The next day, another person who lived at the house was able to pull up the footage from the night of the unalivings on her phone and screen record it. She gave the videos to an officer who also took the entire camera and router as evidence. The video showed the white sedan. So they're going through the 1112 saga. They gave it back to the dang neighbor. She went to Boise. They couldn't get it, so they had to get them on the phone and let her send screenshots. You got to be freaking kidding me. And yeah, we've already covered this, but it's interesting. Listen to this. The investigation had an early run of quick wins, Gilbertson said, by obtaining new evidence, including more security footage, which they're talking about Ridge Road, where that's not even the car that was in the neighborhood. It helped piece together the 4 student victims' nights and clearing various suspects through interviews and cross-referencing whereabouts. But the case grew from days to weeks old. National media attention continued to intensify without a suspect, and the case soon stretched into December. We already feel enough pressure from ourselves because we want to do our jobs and we want justice for those victims and for their families, Gilbertson said. But then in this case, to have the media presence and to have the pressure of what would end up being the nation and the world at times was just absolutely incredible. Yeah, incredible pressure. Yeah, I bet. But listen to the tips that they're going to talk about in this article. They only talk about what I've covered. Almost on a daily basis, Dollinger said investigators would have another possible suspect to rule out. They chased claims that a dealer was selling drugs to fraternities and sororities on campus, according to records. And listen to this. A tip about a man in his 60s in Kitsap County, Washington, near Seattle, who drove a white Hyundai Elantra and was accused of trying to entice children. That's the one I pointed out in my big reveal video that everybody's seen, but I guess y'all didn't realize just how big that video really was, because that's Michael Warren driving Jesse James Bailey's freaking white 2013 Hyundai Elantra that was found in Eugene, Oregon. And it just happens to be one of the main leads that they were chasing. And then listen to this. Investigators also reviewed sales of K-Bar knives from Boise to Coeur d'Alene to Spokane to Seattle. Yeah, why do you think that they were looking at specifically Boise, Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, and Seattle? Because Boise's where the Aryan Knights are. Coeur d'Alene's where the family of the mother and father is. Spokane's where they got Farley, and Seattle's where the Aryan family is. We were trying to find whatever connection we could. And we were looking at all potential angles, right? Dollinger said. Very early on, we were like, okay, could this have been drug related? Could it have been family related? Could it have been, I mean, there were millions of different theories out there, and we kind of had to test each one of them and ask some questions, and most of them got dashed very quickly. Well, you should have looked further into family related and drug related, buddy, because you know you were looking into it, and I don't know why you're lying now. Look at this. Here's the bombshells. Ready? During overnight surveillance in the days leading up to his arrest, Kohberger was observed once, very late at night, walking in dark clothing around his parents' neighborhood. But reports that law enforcement witnessed him throwing trash away in his neighbor's garbage were untrue. Kohberger never went and put trash in his neighbor's garbage. That was untrue, mainstream moron BS. Freaking give me a break. How many times have I had to listen to that crap in my comments? Gilbertson said, reports that claim they saw Kohberger using bleach to clean his car, which he drove back to Pennsylvania with his father, were also false. Gray Hughes, you freaking mainstream minion moron. How many times have you said it? Huh? Drunk turkey, and all of you mainstream morons. No offense, but y'all are criminal in this case. Calling us conspiracy theories, conspiracy theorists, you've got to be freaking kidding me. I think that was online stuff Gilbertson told the statement. We did not ever through surveillance see that or observe that at all. You got to be freaking kidding me. I am just getting started, and I don't know how many bombshells we've already come across just in this little start. Number one, Kohberger had pictures with EXIF data. That was his alibi. Showed he wasn't at the crime scene, but it was being refuted by, hello, friends and enemies. A couple of little pencil necks that went through his phone and determined that it was turned off, and you can't take pictures when it's turned off, so they must have been deep faked. There's one. How many times have we said it? Then we get to this. We've got Dollinger, right? Dollinger, head of the ISP head detective for the case, saying that they were investigating the families. They were investigating the Aryan family, because that was absolutely Michael Warren. They knew it. They had to have known it. If I can figure it out, they can figure it out. They had to have known it. They had to know that was Jesse James Bailey's car. They admit to extreme pressure from the media and the world in their investigation while they would have to push things. But then the bombshells. Kohberger never put his trash in his neighbor's trash can. I wish that this could get out to all of those people out there that have written that in the comments of everybody's channels so many times. And I wish they would see this and then actually feel bad about it. But I don't even know if they have the ability to do that at this point. Koberger never put his trash in the neighbor's trash can. I'm calling out to you, John Perry Barlow. You know I love you, but how many times have you written it now? Koberger never put his trash in his neighbor's trash can. Koberger never cleaned his car out with bleach. And Koberger stays up in the jail all night long. Even inmates testify to him washing his hands 100 times a night. So do you think when he was separating the trash in his house and putting them into baggies wearing, it turns out it was those yellow rubber kitchen gloves, because in Pennsylvania you have to separate your trash, and germaphobe Koberger, mama's boy, who only has his mom and his dad in his whole life, that was him just separating trash because he's OCD. It was all literally lies. And y'all ate it up like it was Thanksgiving dinner. All of this needs to get out. And if people don't start apologizing and retracting, I don't know what we're going to do. But I am not going to stop, because this is freaking ridiculous. And I'm just getting started. Hold on to your hats, folks. We're just getting into it. Let's get some more. Included in a search warrant list of the dozens of items police seized from the Koberger home were a Glock handgun, 2 items identified as green leafy substances, and a book with an underlining on page 118. So we've always wondered what the green leafy substances were. I've said 100 times it was Mary Jane, and then now we know for sure the suspected drugs were Mary Jane, according to police report, in a state where cannabis is legal for medical purposes. It was found in a spare room of the home, so it was unclear whether it was Koberger's. But then there's this. And a book with the underlining on page 118. Now, they had us so convinced that Koberger was sinister, even I went through and thought I had figured out what book it was. I thought it was The Handmaid's Tale. But it turns out it's a self-help book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by Susan Jeffers. Because Koberger hates women so much that he reads their self-help books. You freaking people out there ought to open their eyes. And it's a self-help book about techniques for turning anger and indecision into action. And if you read page 118, there is nothing on there about hurting or unaliving anybody. And that's probably why Gilbertson said he didn't know what had been underlined, but it remains in police evidence. It was nothing. It was what's called a nothing burger. And Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, a self-help book written by a woman about techniques for turning anger and indecision into action. You really got you one there, detectives. But now it's time to get to what you all been waiting for, the nitty-gritty. And that's, why didn't they harm Dylan and Bethany? Oh yeah, we about to find out now. And as we find this out, though, we have to make sure that people out there aren't brainwashed by people that can't think. Now, let me ask you a question. When the detectives in the case come out and say, we can't say who the intended target was, we have no proof of anything. Yet, if there was a statement in a report that said that the assailant said Kaylee's name, don't you think they could have figured out who the target was? So maybe if the detectives after 3 years can't say who the target is, well, maybe Banfield, you after reading one report can't solve the entire freaking case. Maybe you should stop and think, wait a minute, maybe I'm not that smart. Maybe I need to think a little bit through. Because if you did and you vetted out what you let's listen to the ridiculous statement she makes that a lot of people will jump on. And then we're going to go through and we're going to break down Dylan's statement to Gooch by way of Enton, because that's the only way we can do it. And thank goodness we did the video yesterday, because I'm going to be able to point out it all to you. Ooh, this is going to get greasy. No, wait a minute. I forgot. I got another one first. Bombshell. You ain't going to believe this, because we just did the video. I just did a video the other day on those Barnhardt's and how they were saying that Kohberger's phone had passively shook hands with the Mad Greek restaurant's Wi-Fi. And then I went through and showed that if you passively do that, in a radius around the restaurant, you could be walking up the street. It's not even that. It's not even that. You ain't going to believe it. Listen to this.
Let me ask you this. The handshakes that we now find are so helpful in digital forensics when killers don't realize they're connecting to a Wi-Fi where they're not supposed to be. Did he have a lot of questionable digital handshakes, like say at the Mad Greek restaurant where two of the victims worked? Did you see anything that was of interest or evidentially helpful with his digital handshakes?
There was one reference to Mad Greek, and it came from a passive assist file associated with Google Maps. So if you open Google Maps and you search for restaurants near me, if you're near Mad Greek, it would populate, and that reference was then logged on his phone.
So if you're on Google Maps and you're wondering what restaurants are near you, and you click restaurants, and look, it'll show restaurants that are, within this is like 25, 30 miles. Anything in 25 or 30 miles. So you found that passive connect with the freaking Mad Greek off of a Google Maps near me restaurant search? And then these freaking dillweeds have reported on it as it's the big connection? Good grief. I'm living in the Twilight Zone. It's like the Twilight Zone, where I must be the mannequin at the slot machine or something, and everybody else is, I don't know. Or maybe it's, the one where I'm in the hospital, and then the nurse takes off her mask, and, she's really got a pig face, and they think I'm ugly. I have no idea what dimension this is. The Google Maps near me is what they found that had the Mad Greek in there. And then they go report it as a passive Wi-Fi hit on the Mad Greek's Wi-Fi. That's a lie. Idaho statement, you're liars. And at the very best, you're incompetent. But I think maybe you're liars. And I know Brian Enton knows more than he wants to say. And when it comes out, I will be all over calling him on it, because he should have just read it. But he didn't. He tried to gloss over it. It's eventually going to come out to the rest of us, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in this video. And when it does finally come out, Pav doesn't forget stuff like this. When it comes out, I'm going after Brian Enton for doing that, because that means he knew. Because the only way he would do that is if he knew, and I'll show you. But how many things have we debunked in this one video that we've thought forever, and new crap that's come out that's already getting debunked? My goodness. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty though. Hold on.
We begin tonight with what might just be perhaps the most breathtaking piece of news to come out of what's been a flood of case files and court papers in the Brian Kohberger, Idaho saga. A possible answer to the burning questions that Kohberger would not answer, and authorities seemingly couldn't find out. Why that house? Why those victims? Who among them, if any, were specifically marked for death? Page 3, paragraph B of a new document from the Idaho State Police describes an interview with a surviving roommate. That's what they say, a surviving roommate who, from everything we know at this point, must have been Dylan Mortensen. And I want to read it specifically for you. Sometime in the early morning hours, Redacted was awoken and opened her room door and heard a male say, quote, "It's okay, Kaylee. I'm here for you," and crying. She then shut the door a short while later. She opened her door again and saw someone approximately 5'10" tall, dressed in black with a ski mask, standing in the kitchen.
See, when you get a mainstream moron with a quote, a snippet that's taken completely out of context of what is actually being said, then you get all of these, tidal wave of people. Oh, Kaylee was the target. Kaylee was the target. So let's set this up. What we're going to do, and we're going to have to bear through it, is listen to Brian Enton read it. And, you know, I'm going to explain it as we go through because he certainly can't. But we're going to go through this because I've been waiting on this one. And, oh, it's big, y'all. When you actually understand what's being said, it's really big. Make sure you've watched the video that I did yesterday before you watch this part, because you really have to understand that concept to understand what you're going to hear in this statement. And I'm not whistling Dixie. When you look at these statements, this is going to be the statement that Dylan gave to Gooch on November the 17th. Okay, Dylan gave a statement to Nunez after they showed up for the 911 call that I assure you wasn't at noon. But after they showed up to the 911 call, they got the statement from Dylan there. We went over it yesterday. Then they took them back to MPD an hour and a half later, and they got the second statement. And then I showed you how things changed from the first statement to the second statement and gave you examples of what was going on. We went through and picked fly shit out of Black Pepper to see what new things she added was real and what things she watered down. Now, this statement is happening 5 days later. Remember, we did Bethany's as well. She gave a statement after the 911 call, a statement at MPD, and then 4 days later, she gave a statement to Captain Lanier in Reno. And in that statement, we learned a lot, but she also watered down some things. And you'll notice some of the things that got watered down in Bethany's third statement was that she thought that Dylan said the guy was holding a vacuum, when we know Dylan clearly described the guy holding a gun and said the word gun. Well, now when we get into this Gooch statement, you can see that Dylan and Bethany have had time to discuss things between each other, and that's why Bethany started the vacuum cleaner thing, and Dylan's going to continue with it. But it's all the other things that are said that give us everything we need to know of why they did not unalive Dylan and Bethany. And I agree with a lot of y'all out there. It certainly makes Bethany very, very suspect in this case. She knew. Here we go.
So we cough first. All right. This is Dylan when she talked to police. She advised around 4 a.m. or 4:20 a.m. she heard Kaylee singing and playing music. She heard who she believed Kaylee was walking up the stairs, and blank advised she heard Kaylee say, "Someone's here," and she sounded...
Okay, so we know from the first two statements that this is already getting watered down. Right now, she's adding in something that we've never heard before, which is she heard Kaylee playing music, and she went upstairs and said, "Someone's here." That is totally not what she said in the first two statements. So we know this is a big watered down, but there are going to be some insights.
Frantic, and they don't name Dylan here, but I've just pieced together that that's who it is. Blank described Kaylee's tone as somewhere between talking and yelling. She believed it was Kaylee who was walking up the stairs with Murphy.
Okay, so now she's added Kaylee walking up the stairs with Murphy, which in a statement here in a minute, we'll get the real truth, as she clearly says Murphy is outside. But she said that it was between a normal tone and what did you just say, Enton?
Don't name Dylan here, but I've just pieced together that that's who it is. Blank described Kaylee's tone as somewhere between talking and yelling. She
described Kaylee's tone somewhere between talking and yelling. All right, so we go back to the very first statement, and what did she say? She heard Kaylee scream.
It was Kaylee who was walking up the stairs with Murphy.
And she is in her mind. See, I told you I was right on this. It was in her mind that was Kaylee going upstairs, right? And that's where you go back to part 3, episode 1, where I gave you all these clues. But this is just reaffirming. She thought it was Kaylee going upstairs, and she's going to think it's Kaylee going downstairs and going to Xana's room as well. She thought it was Kaylee that was unalived in Xana's room.
She said she heard who she believed to be Kaylee running down the stairs. She advised Murphy was barking at this time. She does not believe Murphy is normally a barker. She further stated she believed it was Kaylee who was running down the stairs after she heard her say, "Someone is here." She further explained she does not know if she actually heard this or whether she was drunk and did not actually hear any of this. She heard the footsteps of who she believed to be Kaylee. She explained all the girls wear Doc Martens and that this is what she believed she was wearing, what she was hearing Kaylee coming down the stairs wearing, her Doc Martens, because of the sound of the footsteps coming down the stairs. Blank called Blank at 4:19 a.m., then Xana at 4:20 a.m., Kaylee at 4:20 a.m., and then Blank again at 4:20 a.m. Blank advised Blank told her about seeing fireworks. She texted Blank last time at 4:27 a.m. before she went to Blank's room. Blank then explained when she first opened her door and said she did not see anyone. The second time when she opened the door, she heard who she believed to be Kaylee crying, and Blank believed Kaylee was in the second floor bathroom.
All right, so once again, she never thought it was Xana crying. She thought it was Kaylee. She thought Kaylee went upstairs, yelled, screamed, "There's someone here," then ran back downstairs to Xana's room, and then she thought she heard, remember the word she used in the first interview? Commotion, struggle, screaming. This is the watered down version, but she thought it was Kaylee the whole time.
And heard a male voice, which she stated she had never heard before, say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you."
Okay, so this is the first time she says it. She heard a male voice that I've never heard before say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Remember, the first statement was she heard a male voice say, what did they say? It's not okay, I'm going to help you, but don't worry, I'm going to help you, or there was something like that. And then in the second statement, she said it was said in a not very nice way. But you hear what was just said right there. She heard him say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Not, "I'm here for you, Kaylee, I'm going to help you." You'll see how this stuff kind of morphs, and it doesn't make any sense because she's going to realize that it's Kaylee after the law enforcement gets there, and she's going to even say that in this statement.
Blank believed the unidentified male was in the bathroom and with the person who was crying. She believes it was Kaylee who was the one crying. Blank stated that now, sorry, so there's some typos, but Blank stated that now she has gathered additional information and now believes it was probably Xana who was crying.
There it goes. See, she's gathered additional information. Now she believes it was Xana who was crying. So once law enforcement told her that it was Xana, then now in her mind, she's like, okay, that's Xana. So everything that she was telling she thought was Kaylee was for a reason, but it turns out it was Xana. And now that she knows it was Xana, how is the person going to say, "I'm here for you, Kaylee"? Good grief, y'all.
At the moment of hearing the crying, she stated she believed it was Kaylee who was crying. She advised she knows the male's voice was not Ethan's. She described the last episode of Vampire Diaries, and she remembered it was 2 males rescuing a female. She explained it was not violent. She advised the male figure in the last episode was wearing all black, but Blank explained that that was normal for the series. Apparently they had been watching.
Yeah, now she's trying to indemnify herself by confusing the event with Vampire Diaries. Yeah, right.
Watching that. She's not certain whether she heard Murphy barking during the first time she opened her door, but she advised it was possible he was barking, but Murphy was moving away from the house. She described...
Okay, so now she's saying that she heard Murphy barking, but he was moving away from the house. So the first statement of her adding Murphy going up the stairs with Kaylee, that's another example of minimization. She's adding things into it to make the situation seem less dangerous than it was because of what she did afterwards, and she knows that there could be some heat on her.
Murphy was a puppy, and Blank had just met him in August. She could not describe Murphy as being skittish. She advised she opened and closed her door a total of 3 times, and the 4th time is when she left her bedroom to go downstairs to Blank's bedroom. Blank advised she continued to call and text her roommates but received no answer. She provided the times she called and texted her roommates, and the time span she advised would have been between 4:20 a.m. and 4:27 a.m. She advised she never thought about an intruder, and in her mind, she stated she was not processing what was occurring as threatening.
Okay, so again, examples of minimization. She was not processing in her mind what had happened as threatening. Yeah, right. Go back to her first statement to law enforcement, and she jumped up and locked the door because she was so scared she didn't know what else to do. She's hearing everybody screaming. There's commotion and a struggle, and she sees a guy with a gun, and she's so scared to death. She's telling Bethany, God, I'm scared. Bethany's hearing fireworks and gunshots, and she's scared. But now in this statement with Gooch, this is an example of minimization. She's minimizing the events because she doesn't want to look as culpable.
Not processing it as threatening. She advised she believed the male was directing his conversation of who she believed was Kaylee. She advised she did not believe the male was directing that statement to her.
So again, more evidence. She thought it was Kaylee in Xana's room. And he just said something key though. She didn't believe that he was focusing that, those words and that anger towards her, meaning Dylan. And why is that?
In discussing why the offender did not harm her, it was discussed that it was possible the male knew her and wanted to protect her. And she
Whoa! Now that right there is a bombshell right there. It was possible the male knew her and wanted to protect her. Now, does that mean it was one of her college buddies?
She said she understood that that was possible, but she denied knowing who the suspect was.
She understood that was possible, but denied knowing who the suspect was. So it wasn't one of her college buddies, but she felt like the man was trying to protect her. And why would somebody be trying to protect her as they're unaliving other people, yet she doesn't know them? Well, do I really need to point that out, folks? This is a hit from a group of people that her boyfriend's father is a member of. So why would she think that they were trying to protect her? And why didn't she dial 911? Because she thought they were trying to protect her. She wasn't going to call 911 and turn in people that were trying to protect her as they unalived her friends. So y'all were right. The Dylan isn't good, but this sure explains a lot.
Blank further explained she Snapchatted Ethan but received no answer from Ethan. Blank thought Ethan was still either at Blank Chi, Sigma Chi, or was at home. She was not certain.
See, I told you, she didn't know that Ethan was even in the house. When the officers went through and said, who's the girl in the first bedroom on the second floor? She thought it was Kaylee, and that's why she told them it was Kaylee. And when they said, who's the male? She went, oh, that must be Ethan. And then who's the two upstairs? She said, well, that must be Xana and Maddie, because she didn't know. She seen them laying there. She's going to describe seeing Xana laying there, but she knew. She knew that wasn't Xana. I mean, she thought that wasn't Xana. She thought it was Kaylee.
First time Blank opened the door, she said her vision was blurry or fuzzy, but she advised she saw a figure of someone that was dressed in all black, and they were masked, and he was holding an item of what she initially perceived was a vacuum, but she said...
Whoa. Now here's minimization, right? What she initially perceived was a vacuum, but listen to how she describes the object. She knew what it was, and she's trying to describe it to the officers and let them tell her that it's a gun so that she doesn't have it come out of her mouth again, because she knows if she says gun one more time, they're going to look at her like, you knew.
Said that did not make sense to her. She described the suspect as not being muscular, but being skinny and toned like a basketball player. She further described him as being taller than 5'10" frame by at least 3 inches, so he would have been 6 feet in height. She advised he had to have her call Kaylee and Xana, and she advised he had to have heard her call Kaylee and Xana, and she thought he would have had to have heard her calling for them, and she was confused as to why he did not come to her room.
Okay, we understood that, right? he did not call Kaylee and Xana. She was confused how the unaliver, who she knew had heard her call Kaylee and Xana, was not harming her. Yet she's already stated she felt like that person wasn't after her, that they were actually there to protect her.
A lot of us have had questions about that. She described the item the suspect was holding, which was advised was like a cylinder, as she remembered a cop talking about how a bow, she was trying to ascertain if what she saw was in fact shaped like a bow. Further,
now this time she's saying bow, but what she's really meaning to say is arrow. And when she says cylinder and arrow, she's talking about the barrel of a gun. And here is the final key to it, as she describes the other end of that arrow barreled item and what shape it's in. As I've showed y'all, you see this little shape right here? What is she going to describe?
Stated she thought that maybe it was a firefighter because of what Blank told her about seeing a firecracker. She advised he would have been approximately interesting, the firecracker thing, by the way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
3 feet away from her, and she believed she saw him walking out the back sliding glass door. He had looked at her before walking out the back door. She was not certain if he could see her whole body or just her head. At 4:22 a.m., then Blank corrected her time and stated actually 4:23 a.m. She advised she texted Blank, and they conversed about someone wearing all black, and Blank said something to the effect of, "What the F, why is Xana wearing all black?" Blank explained she was not certain if she had been dreaming this or if it was real. Blank explained she saw the suspect holding something she believed to be cylinder-shaped and also shaped like a triangle at the bottom of the shape.
Whoa, cylinder shape and also shaped like a triangle at the bottom of the shape. Do I keep having to go through this? Cylinder shape with a triangle at the bottom of the shape. In her second statement, she said it was a gun, and it was really coming out from a stomach pointed at her. But now we're learning that she thought that the person wasn't there to harm her. In fact, they were there to protect her.
Cylinder shape. She advised the suspect was approximately 3 feet away from her, and he looked at her but was walking out the sliding door when she saw him. She said she saw his eyebrows. At approximately 4:23 a.m., she texted Blank to tell her she saw a masked suspect in their house. Blank responded at approximately 4:25 a.m., telling her to come to her Blank bedroom and that it's better than being alone. Blank then left her bedroom after opening the door the fourth time and ran to Blank's bedroom downstairs. Again, this is Dylan and Bethany, but they've redacted. Blank advised when she left her bedroom, she looked down the hallway to Xana's bedroom, and she could see Xana lying on her back in her underwear, but she thought at that time Xana was passed out. Blank stated she never went to Xana's bedroom, and she could only see Xana from the hallway as she was running to get to Blank's bedroom. Dylan to Bethany's bedroom. She advised she was too scared to go into Xana's bedroom, and she knew Blank was awake, and she knew to go there because she was scared. She saw Xana was wearing her underwear, and she explained Xana was comfortable enough with the roommates that she would wear her underwear around them, so this was not unusual. When
well, right there, she just hurt herself right there, because she's explained the entire time, even in this interview, that she thought that was Kaylee. That she never thought that was Xana until she got more information later. Yet now she's saying she saw her in her underwear, and it's not unusual for Xana to be in her underwear. So she just contradicted just about everything that she had said up to that point with that statement. So,
asked about the lighting conditions inside the residence, she advised that possibly Xana's light was on or the party lights were on, and that is how she was able to see Xana, because otherwise she would not have been able to see her lying on the floor without any lights being on. She was not certain if the bathroom lights were on, but she was not certain what lights were on, if any. She advised Xana did not say anything. Blank stated she did not think anything was wrong, so still didn't think anything was wrong. She later offered.
Give me a break, Enton. She advised Xana did not say anything, and she didn't think anything was wrong. And did you see what he just did? Well, she still didn't think anything was wrong. Dude, what do you have a brain in your head? She didn't think anything was wrong? Have you not read the other statements where she said everybody's screaming, it's commotion, the crying stopped, she's scared to death? But now she says in this statement that she didn't think anything was wrong, and you just... Let's hear that again. Watch it.
Blank stated she did not think anything was wrong, so still didn't think anything was wrong.
Still didn't think anything was wrong. Dude, what's up here? Tuna fish? Come on, man.
She later offered she may have been able to see Xana lying on the floor because they also had a Sensi light, and it could have been she was able to see Xana from the Sensi light. She explained she's been trying to determine what was real from everything that she had been talking about with Sergeant Blaker and myself. She advised she knew at the
Yeah, we've been trying to determine what's real about what she's saying too.
Time with Blank, Kaylee, and Maddie were real because she has seen the video of them together, so there's video. She was not certain how Blank got home that day. She further explained she'd been trying to piece things together because some things do not make sense to her. She stated that she is being truthful, but some of what she's been discussing she's not certain is factual. She had
she's stating, hey, look, I'm being truthful, but some of this stuff I'm telling you I don't think is the truth.
Has been working through it, trying to remember what happened. Blank was asked if the female who was crying was saying anything, and she advised no, the female was only crying and the male was the only one talking. She described the item the suspect was holding as cylinder-shaped and was also triangular-shaped. She could not remember if the lights were on.
Cylinder-shaped? Triangular-shaped. Do we have any other questions about it now?
On or off. When she encountered the male suspect, she advised she does not know if this is even something she saw or it was something she dreamed. She advised the last time she saw Xana was at Blank House at approximately 11:04 p.m., confirmed this by checking her cell phone. Xana had been holding a white claw. She was at Blank at 12:49 a.m. That part I don't really understand. She further advised Xana and Ethan did not stay at Ethan's house with any frequency because of Ethan's grades. He could not reside at the fraternity. He had his own apartment, but she does not know where his apartment is because she had never been there. She knows Kaylee and Maddie were home when she went to bed, and Blank and from when she saw Xana lying on the floor, but she's not certain about whether Ethan was home.
She already said she
stated
didn't think Ethan was home.
3:11 a.m., Kaylee, Maddie, and she were all in the house. She was not certain about Xana and Ethan because she does not know when they came home. She denied perceiving a threat even after encountering the male in the hallway.
She denied perceiving a threat. Well, we know that's a lie from the first two statements. And if you would read those, Enton, you would know it too.
So she denied perceiving a threat even after encountering the male in the hallway. She said there were people coming in and out of their house all the time. She denied remembering what his face looked like and said she could see that his head and mouth were covered, but she could not see his eyebrows, and further advised she was not certain she could see his nose.
Okay, so a minute ago she said all she could see was his eyebrows. She just stated right there that she could not see his eyebrows. All she could see was his nose. So do you see why Ann Taylor was saying, come on, y'all are going to accept this testimony?
When asked, and she couldn't see it says there she couldn't see his eyebrows. When asked if she knew what...
Yeah, it says there she couldn't see his eyebrows. Dude, I mean, I'm talking about, it's not even name brand tuna. It's not even Star-Kissed, man. It's generic.
Balaclava was, she said no, so I asked Sergeant Blaker to show her a picture of a balaclava from his cell phone.
So let's show you what you need to be, thinking here, just like they typically do. It's called leading through the interrogation.
And upon looking at the picture of a balaclava, she stated that could have been it. She does not remember seeing his mouth or nose, but she could see his eyebrows. Now,
okay, guy, now you just read a statement like after a statement. All right, she couldn't see his eyebrows, but she could see his nose. And then you turn around and read a statement that says, well, I couldn't see anything but his eyebrows. And you don't stop and think, well, that's kind of contradictory.
Asked if any of her roommates told her about prior incidents involving anything that concerned them, She advised Kaylee had told them blank and the other roommates about an incident a month prior when she was outside with Murphy about a subject who had been watching her. The subject was in the apartments above the girl's residence. Blank further explained that
Whoa, a month earlier, that would have been early October, and there's a subject watching her from the top floor of the Queen Road apartments. You know what? That's almost exactly the time that they let Farley out on furlough after their parents had snitched on him. And yeah, I bet he would have been over there watching them going, okay, all right, snitch on me, look what happens.
3 weeks ago, while at Winco, Kaylee told her about a male subject who followed her from the Winco store, all the way to Kaylee's car, even when Kaylee went to leave. The subject was...
That was actually, it said a late 20s African-American male. That most certainly could have been Demetrius.
Standing by Kaylee's car. We've heard about that incident before. Also, 2 to 3 weeks ago, all of the roommates went to Starbucks together, and when they got home, their front door was wide open, and they do not believe it had been open when they left. She explained there were prior issues with the front door, so she said it was possible the door opened because there had been a snowstorm, and she explained possibly the wind caused the door to open. Also, when they got home, the washer was going, which she described was not unusual, but this also concerned her. She explained because of these things, they went to get Ethan's golf clubs to protect themselves when they searched the house.
Good grief, y'all. Nobody beat Kaylee with a driver, okay? I mean, if you say that, I know you've never played golf before because it's hard enough to hit a golf ball. You're not going to accurately be able to swing a golf club and hit somebody in the face multiple times with it. So please think through before you say, it's a golf club again.
Blank explained weeks
or at least go play 18 holes and then learn for yourself.
Prior to the 13th, Kaylee told the roommate she heard a woman scream, but no one else heard it. Blank was asked if she was telling either Sergeant Baker or I anything to prevent us from solving this, and she advised no, that she understood my question, and she advised that she knew she did not sleep through the whole incident because she has texted communications and other things, and she knows that they would have required her to be awake.
The officers asked, are you doing anything to prevent us from solving this? So they absolutely had some questions about Dylan in this interview.
She knows what she heard, especially about hearing who she believes was Kaylee crying and the male voice telling her that he was there for her. Interesting. She
heard Kaylee crying and a male voice telling her that he was there for her. But remember, Kaylee is who she's thinking is Xana. So she's thinking it was Kaylee in the room, and really it was Xana. So this guy didn't say, I'm here for you, Kaylee. She said, I'm here for you. So what does that mean? If it's really Xana and the guy says, I'm here for you, if that's even true, well, then that tells us what we needed to know. One of the people that they were there for was Xana, just like we've always said. It's Xana and Maddie are the targets.
Stated again, she does not know how much of what she has been telling us was not factual because she's still processing the events. When asked why she believes she was spared after the male suspect saw her, she said she does not know why, and she does not believe anyone ever tried to open the door during the time he was in the house, and he could have easily have done so. And why would he have passed by her room multiple times? She volunteered that to come through the sliding glass door, the person would have had to have scaled a tall wall. She advised the suspect would have known her room would have been occupied because he appeared to have known the layout of the house. She also said it could have been someone who was in the house last year when the other girls were living in the house. She advised there was no one she knows who could have wanted to hurt the girls, and the girls were loved by everyone. She said she had never heard rumors which were negative about any of the victims. When asked about Kaylee's ex-boyfriend.
So, based on everything she says right there, she knows that the person that came in the house should have harmed her. Nobody has ever said anything about anybody having problems with the victims. And we know now that at the beginning, she said the guy obviously wasn't trying to hurt her and she thought he was there to protect her. So it doesn't take a math genius to figure out that she knew that these people knew people that she knew and that she was not in danger.
Friend advised the breakup was mutual and they have their dog Murphy in common. And then she brought up some other names. She offered her DNA. She advised it might be difficult to locate the offender's DNA because they had conducted a deep clean of their residence, leading...
Whoa! She told the officers it's probably going to be hard for you to find the offender's DNA because of the deep clean of the residence that we've done prior to, family weekend. Now, why would your deep clean of the residence have anything to do with them finding DNA of the perpetrators? So that tells us right there that likely, it's likely based on that statement that, at least Dylan may have helped with some cleaning up afterwards, which would make sense.
Up to the parents' weekend. Let's see. Some of this I'm reading for the first time, so bear with me. When asked if she could able to provide a description of to a police artist, like a sketch artist, she said she would not be able to describe enough of the suspect to be helpful. She further advised the only thing she remembered about his face was his eyebrows were bushy. So that's where the bushy eyebrows came from. She advised...
So you don't question that after 3 interviews at the end of this thing, asked 10 times, at one time she says, I didn't see his eyebrows. Now she says it's bushy, and y'all are going to jump on that one statement and go, oh, there we go, bushy eyebrows, got your Coburger. Off-brand, and it might even be expired.
She was confused about why the offender would have taken the patio door out of the residence because of the drop-off from the patio. She advised she remembers that cars do come by their residence a lot, and she said there was a black truck driving past the window, and she further said she was not absolutely certain that it was a black truck.
Whoa, you can bet that black truck was, it's got something fishy, because that's something that just popped out of her mouth, and then she immediately tried to gloss it over. I don't think she meant to say that. She may have let something out.
And apparently was confused. When asked what occurred after she went to Blank's bedroom, she said they eventually fell asleep. She advised a friend of theirs was planning a memorial event, and that's helped her emotionally because at this point she's obviously dealing with everything. Let's see. When she awakened that morning, Blank was next to her in bed. We know that was Bethany. They were both too scared to leave the room to even go to the bathroom. 11:23 a.m., 10:23 a.m. said she texted Maddie. We knew about these text messages. Then explained when she reached out to Blank in the text message, which Blank told her it was 10:50 a.m., but she thinks Blank was mistaken, told her she would send to their house. Sorry, there's a lot redacted here. It's hard to understand.
Okay, right there. Right there. He's starting to read in the report the actual time that they had reached out to somebody and they were supposed to send somebody to their house. You can bet that's the police. And you see what Enton just did right there? He just realized what he was reading, and then he stopped and said, oh, there's a bunch of redacted stuff here, and he tries to gloss over it. I'm quite certain what he's reading right there is the officers were supposed to be at the house after 10:50. And he just didn't read it for some reason. So when we actually get that report, if what I think it just said right there, it says that, to you, Enton, because that's not just lying, that's lying on another level, and that's lying about something you've known for a long time. This wouldn't be new information, or you wouldn't have lied about it if you're lying. I'm not calling you a liar, but I highly suspect what you just did was lie by omission, buddy. Let's listen again.
Or she would send to their house. Sorry, there's a lot redacted here. It's hard to understand. When she awakened that morning, Blank was next to her in bed. We know that was Bethany. They were both too scared to leave the room to even go to the bathroom. 11:23 a.m., 10:23 a.m. said she texted Maddie. We knew about these text messages. Then explained when she reached out to Blank in the text message, which Blank told her it was 10:50 a.m., but she thinks Blank was mistaken, told her she would send to their house. Sorry, there's a lot redacted here. It's hard to understand. She advised they stayed in the house when the police arrived, and the police were putting the tape up. Then they realized there had been a crime, and when they saw the ambulance arrive and leave, Blank told them they would not leave unless there was no reason to stay. She then advised said that the vandal alert came out, and that's when they realized that their friends were actually gone. When asked if she checked the house for anyone else when she initially came home that night with Blank, and she was asked if she had to unlock the front door, and she advised she believed she had to unlock the front door to get into the residence. She advised when she first got home, she remembered the sliding door was closed, but she did not know if it was locked. She advised when she first got home, she went to Kaylee's bedroom to let Murphy out of Kaylee's room, and Kaylee's lights were on and no one was in Kaylee's room. Murphy came back into the house after going outside. So, first of all, my heart goes out to Dylan. I mean, I know I read all of that kind of fast and emotionally, but you just
not
imagine
anymore.
what she must have been going through during this police interview,
not after
and what she's
that
still
one, I
going
was
through.
waiting on it.
Not processing it as threatening. She advised she believed the male was directing his conversation of who she believed was Kaylee. She advised she did not believe the male was directing that statement to her. In discussing why the offender did not harm her, it was discussed that it was possible the male knew her and wanted to protect her, and she.
So let me see if I can wrap this all in a bow for you. And it's not easy to do because of all the bombs in this video. But starting right there. So Dylan didn't think the guy was there to hurt her. She thought he may knew her and was there to protect her, but she didn't know him, which tells you everything you need to know. Her boyfriend's dad is an Aryan Knight. At best, she knew what was going down was part of their operation. That's why she knew she wasn't in danger. At worst, she was complicit. Now, that explains why she wouldn't call 911 either way. She's not going to call 911 if she's complicit, certainly. She's certainly not going to call 911 if she's even believing that that's part of the group doing an operation and they're protecting her. She's going to protect them. Why wouldn't Bethany dial 911? Because they're not going to leave Dylan in that house all by herself as the only one not unalived, or then she didn't have an alibi. They know what that would do to her. They got to have Bethany for Dylan. That's number one. Number two, it sounds to me like they firmly were having the law enforcement come to that house at least 10:50. I firmly believe that at that time they were over there at Hunter and Emily and Josie's place. But we'll know when we finally get that real doc and we're able to read it. Banfield is brain dead because she's trying to say that somebody in their fourth statement all of a sudden changes, "It's okay, I'm here to help you," to "It's okay, Kaylee, I'm here to help you," when the entire time the person that they're describing as Kaylee is actually Xana. So use your noodles if you got any. I mean, maybe add some sauce to them. Okay, there's that. More bombshells. Page 118 wasn't some serious, Ted Bundy book, or like I contemplated even the Handmaid's Tale. It's a self-help book for a mama's boy trying to gain confidence. And there was nothing on page 118 that was nefarious in any way. I'm not even going to go through and read it. There was nothing. Green leafy substance was Mary Jane. The touching the Wi-Fi at the Mad Greek. It wasn't even his cell phone's Wi-Fi. Handshaking the Mad Greek's Wi-Fi. He went on Google Maps and said, places to eat near me. And one of the places within that 20-mile radius was the Mad Greek. And these Barnhardt's go, well, there's a handshake, there's a connection right there. We found it that way. That's why law enforcement said, no, there's never any connection. I mean, law enforcement probably wanted to slap both of them like the two Stooges. Good grief. The alibi. Bam. They came out and said it. They said, we found where he shut his phone off, and you can't take pictures with your phone off, so that destroyed his alibi. That means that probably when Koberger was arrested, he provided his phone with pictures that had his EXIF data showing he wasn't near the crime scene. They arrested him anyways, then got some experts to go in and say, well, he turned his phone off so he couldn't take a picture. So you wonder why he didn't scream his alibi from the rooftops? Well, because they took it as soon as he gave it to him in the beginning, I imagine, and just tried to bury it. No wonder Ann Taylor didn't just pop out the alibi in the alibi statement, because they knew they would bring in people like them that would try to get the alibi overruled. I mean, it's amazing. And then there is, I didn't even mention this. the nefarious stuff that they said that he was doing down in Lewiston and Clarkston when he went into the grocery store. Everybody saw he's in there with gloves on, buying garbage bags and stuff to go hide his stuff. He went in there and bought a 6-pack of Starbucks little glass coffee things. I mean, the kid went in there and bought some coffee. Come on. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, and then the two biggest ones. He never put his trash in the neighbor's can. Never put his trash in the neighbor's can. He was never seen cleaning his car out with bleach. Those were lies. It's all been lies, and the lies continue to flow. And if we don't call them out, I mean, if you don't really think critically about these things and then call these things out, you're no better than they are. And even if you call it out wrong, at least you're calling it out. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, your thoughts, your criticisms. Till next time, Pavarotti's out.